a thriving conversation. And welcome, Pamela, to our conversation today.
Thank you. I am delighted to be here with you ladies.
I know this is wonderful. We always looking forward to our talk. Sometimes we call it a show, but it's hardly a show. It's, it's a bunch of ladies sit and chit chat and contemplating in life and how we can thrive and do better.
That's it.
Today is June 14, and it's one of a Chinese festival. It's in Chinese lunar calendar. Today is May 5th. So it's almost like a little Cinco de Mayo in the Mexico version, except ours, we have a different story. So I need to do a Facebook Live later on that one. But just funny that we can celebrate the same thing, different day, different time. And, you know, it's still fun. But today our conversation is going to continue on contentment. And we're going to start with, as always, Sarah, who's going to introduce who we are. And then we're going to pass on to Pamela, and we're going to dive a little deeper into the conversation.
All righty.
All right. So I'm trying to share. But anyway, good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Am I alive? Am I live or not? It looks
You
like
are totally live. Yes. Live and kicking and streaming.
all right. To make sure that we don't lose so much time, I'm going to introduce myself so quickly. I'm Sarah M. I'm from Cambodia. I grew up very happy in the countryside, and then when I got to attend college, it was in the city, and at that time, the horrible thing happened to our country when the communist Khmer Rouge took over, and they turned our life in our country upside down. Basically, they destroyed our life, and I struggled so badly, tried to survive, and I did survive. I did get out of the captivity, but during those times, there are 2 million people die. It's within 4 years. So from that standpoint, I'm grateful that God saved my life to be able to get out. And now I'm here and beyond grateful that God brought me here, and I'm pretty content in my position in this beautiful country and talking with beautiful people like you and Lee. So it just like contentment it's a good thing that you don't really think about the resentment, the pain, the struggle that you went through. So there is no need for that. That's the past experience is something that I learned a lot from it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I take this. And now I publish my book, and my story is in the book, and I go out to share my story, to encourage people, so that we need to hold on. We need to hang on to our hope and our future and our faith. So that's how we make progress.
Amen.
Amen. Yes.
So you have to say amen, because you hit so many important points, about, you can't change life's path and journey and all of that, but you are truly a survivor, right? And so you are an inspiration to many, and your story is an inspiration as well as strength for the readers, and to be able to find contentment. Like I personally, like, that's a choice, right? Because all of us, no one has this, I always say, every day is not rainbows and unicorns, right? So we all have challenges in life.
Yeah.
But to be content is a choice, right? Because you can see the glass as half empty, or you can choose to see the glass as half full. It is a choice, because
Yeah.
both of those statements are true. It is half empty, but it's also half full. It's just all in the perspective. And I think contentment is right in there with that. Like, it's a choice that we make. It doesn't mean that we're avoiding or negating negative, bad, or sad things. They do in fact happen in our lives, but we're making a choice to not let those things define us, right? Or drive us, or what have you. So
Thank
um,
you.
I think it's a beautiful story, you know, and biblically speaking, when they say that you cannot have, without a test, there is no testimony, right? And so, you know, hats off for you for sharing the story, because it truly will bless people. You know, some who that may be a similar experience for them, for others who though their situation is different, knowing that you survived on the other side and you can still find a place of hope, a place of contentment, a place of joy in spite of, that's going to inspire someone who right now thinks that their situation is so overwhelming that that's not even possible. It's not even conceivable to find hope because my situation is so dire, right? And so, you know,
Oh,
I'm glad you wrote your book.
Thank you for your comment. So back to you, Lee.
Well, thank you, Sarah. This is a thriving conversation. So we love contentment. We love bravery. We love courage.
Yeah.
So my background, my name is Lee Tran. If you're here the first time and you stumble through our show, our platform, we welcome you. We're here Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. We started out with just two former refugee women who want to talk about how we survive and how we thrive. And little we know that the show or the conversation had lasted over a year and 4 months. And my background is also not as drastic, but it's also it's pretty rugged. And I was born in Vietnam, and we left Vietnam after the Vietnam War, after the communists took over, and my family got caught over for 4 years, staying under the oppressive of the communists. And with hundreds of thousands of people, even though it's not a genocide like Cambodia, but it was also a massive exodus that the Vietnamese government from the north, from the communists, trying to design a place to kick out all the minority Chinese, and my family is part of that population. So we left out to the sea looking for freedom, and obviously it was floating, drifting on the South China Sea for a week in my case, and then encounter pirates and encounter lots of things that we did not anticipate. But lo and behold, that was 41 years ago. And every day I try to find courage and contentment, you know, to move forward. Now, we love to have people come out here to share their story and how they survived through whatever life had thrown them a curveball. And that's what we did. And I also tell my story on the TEDx stage and wrote my book. And that's where I met Pamela on my anthology book, where the top 25 change maker. After my first book of my memoir, I did not miss the boat. So I was in this group with 24 other really talented people who had ample of story to share. And I have met this wonderful, wonderful lady named Pamela McCoy. So Pamela was in the same project, and I invite her to come on over to share her thriving story, how she founded her company, what was her mission in life. And Pamela, welcome, and please give us a little bit of the background, the story that who are you, where have you been, where have you come from, and how did you get here?
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies, again for the invite. I am absolutely delighted and so honored to be here with you. I hail from, we call North Carolina home. And the reason why I say we call North Carolina home, my father was active duty military. So we moved around, right, and everything. And so, but we call North Carolina home. Both of my brothers then are Air Force Academy grads. And then I married Air Force. So my husband did 30 years
Wow.
in the
Well,
Air Force.
thank you for your family's service.
Thank you. So Air Force is kind of all I know, right? My husband is retired now, but of course he couldn't let Uncle Sam go. So he's now civil service, still out at McDill, doing
That's
work.
great.
For me, my background, again, military brat, as we're affectionately called, grew up with that. And I went to North Carolina State University in Raleigh, North Carolina, and got my degree in business with a concentration in economics. Thought initially, when I first went off to college, I was in a computer science major. That lasted all but a hot second because I figured coding is so not for me. So my degree ended up being in business. And so my background has been in credit cards, banking for almost 30 years. My last corporate job was vice president, collection, recovery, fraud, and probate.
Wow.
At a national bank. And
you're not too many people's favorite person.
Right. Well, you know what? People love me. And it's so funny you should say that. When I was right out of college, I got accepted to a training program for Sears Roebuck, which of course Sears is now closing down in most places. But they had like this 18-month management training program. And literally you learned everything in credit from, underwriting, customer service, collections, fraud, probate, how to run a unit, spent time with the janitor, how to order the toilet paper for the building. I mean, like you learned every aspect of the business. And we had this running joke, like no one wanted to end up in the collection clutches, meaning you wanted your assignment when you finish the program to either be in new accounts, meaning underwriting credit, or in customer service, serving the credit, but no one wanted to be in collections, right?
Yeah. It's a tough one. It's a tough position.
End of the business, the dread, no one wants to be in collections. And lo and behold, right? You want to make God laugh, have a plan. So I had a plan. It did not include collections, but so I did do a short stint in underwriting and in customer service, but then I landed in collections. And how about, I absolutely loved it. And so I spent my whole career, the bulk of my career, in collections on the back end of the business. And I think it kind of permeates from my desire to serve, to help, to use my gifts. My faith is very important to me. So some people, can't really get next to that, but that's who I am and what I am, right? And don't apologize for it. And so my faith, he says, your time, your talent, your treasure. He says, for much is given, much is required, kind of thing, and giving back and all of that. And collections really allowed me to do that, because the majority of people, I'll even go so far as to say, that are in collections are not there because they're deadbeats and don't want to pay their bills. It's really, most times, life has happened. Some kind of situation has happened, and they're frustrated, they're overwhelmed, they're all of those kind of things. So they can't see the forest for the trees. And so they really just need someone with compassion to see beyond their circumstance and help them maneuver through this circumstance that they're in, right? And so being in that position really allowed me to do that.
You have seen it all, I'm sure.
I have seen it all, heard it all, every lie, every excuse you can think of. But I think, going back to my college days, this drive, I think even as a kid, like I always was that kid, wanted to help in that kind of thing. My freshman year in college, I was home for Christmas break. And that Sunday, I was on my way back to college after Christmas. It was a Sunday. It wasn't even noon yet. I think it was probably around 10:30, 11 o'clock. I was headed back to college. I was less than 5 miles from my parents' house, less than 5. And I got hit head on by a drunk driver. And that was pivotal, you know, in my life. It just, I really literally thought I was dying that day. Like, this is it. This is my day kind of thing.
Oh gosh.
I had a little Toyota Corolla, a 4-door. And when I tell you it balled up like a piece of paper, it just, you know, they had to use the jaws of life, all of that to get me out of the car. I just knew this is it. This is a wrap, you know. But I'm still here, you know. And when I think back on that hindsight, it's like people have been in less impactful accidents and didn't survive, right? So the reason why I survived is because I had a purpose. Like my purpose hadn't been fulfilled yet. And so I began this search, like, what is this purpose? What is it I'm supposed to do? You know, like, why did I survive, kind of thing. And I think, you know, the journey professionally, personally, my faith, all that, it has led me to a time such as this. And even, you know, I have 2 companies. On the bona fide side of my business, which was my first company that I launched in 2008. So I was still full-time at the bank. So talk about not enough hours in the day. Right? On that side of the
You're
business,
thinking when you're sleeping.
exactly. It allows me to, I do financial capability education, personal money management. So teaching people, helping people manage their personal finances, right? And so that's a direct correlation to my journey professionally. And so I think that all of those things happen for a reason, to prepare me to do it my way, right? Which is the bona fide way. And bona fide, though it's spelled different, it is the exact definition of bona fide when you're talking about honesty, integrity, your intent, right? And so that's what I do on the bona fide side. And then fast forward to this new division of my company, B5 Reaffirm, which I officially launched amidst the pandemic, right? So all of these things are crazy cool, right?
You're just getting too bored. You don't know what to do.
Now I'm just walking in my purpose, though, you know. And I say,
yes, absolutely.
you know, letting him orchestrate the when, the what, the where. I just try to make myself available. So I call my B5 Reaffirm side of my business as my assignment from the big guy, right? The idea kind of was birthed pre-pandemic, but then it's like, oh, do you launch amidst a pandemic or what have you? You know, what he puts together and puts forth, you just do, right? And when I tell you, it has been amazing.
Sometimes the adversities really give you a space to clear your head and think again how you can actually use that purpose to serve exactly where you are.
Exactly.
To make it, so tell us a little more about that.
So B5 Reaffirm, like I said, on the bona fide side, we do the financial capability education. On the B5 Reaffirm side of the business, we provide, or our focus is mental health, but specifically self-esteem of females. Females young and old. I have implemented the program with girls as young as 11, 12. I have implemented the program with seasoned ladies in their 70s, right? Yeah. Because when you talk about self-esteem, it's not an age thing. It truly is ageless because it's a self thing. So you can feel that at 7, you can feel it at 17, you can feel it at 77, right? And you know, everything that I do in my personal life as well as my professional life, my one goal is to have impact. And what I mean by that is whomever's path that I'm blessed to cross, I want their life to be better in some way because of that intersection. And so whether it's just a simple smile in passing, you know, a hand wave, a hello, a in-depth conversation, I want it to be different. I want them to be better. And so it was true with B5 Reaffirm, even though it was my assignment, like I wanted it to be that. But it has been so much more than what I could have ever conceived. This program has literally saved the lives of some females. And that I wasn't anticipating, you know, like going into
conjunction to put together the two programs, like one's feeding off the other.
They do. And so you can have either or this hybrid, because even long before B5 Reaffirm was a thing, I always talked about self-esteem when you talk about personal finance, right? Because if you're not mentally in a good headspace, then you make bad financial decisions by default, right? And so they're not mutually exclusive.
And it's like a recycle thing. If you make bad financially, then you become less confident. So,
exactly. It's that vicious circle, right? So they were together. And so now I have an opportunity to do one or the other or hybrids. And so more often than not, it's a hybrid. So even right now, I have a contract with the school district. And so I'm implementing both programs because they wanted a hybrid. So I work with.
So that's what my next question is, like, how does your program work? I mean, you mentioned school. So obviously you're going, this is the smartest way, I think, to approach young adult or before they even become young adult.
Right.
There's the mind that you got to train them about finance and self-confidence and mental health. So this is really smart, that how you go to school through the school system. So tell us a little bit about that.
So most of the sites of this image, like I said, it's a hybrid. And so we implement the whole self-esteem program. And so it comes with a box as well as a workbook. And so the workbook, of course, is called Grace. Grace is the definition of grace, right? Biblically speaking. And it's also the acronym. And the acronym is about the activities that we do. So in the workbook, we do gratitude, we do reflection, we do attitude, we do character, and we do esteem are the activities in the workbook. And the box itself is a behavior modification tool with items and things in there that affirm you and reaffirm you. And of course, those things reinforce affirmation, reaffirmation, which, you know, the workbook is talking about grace and those tools, and they work hand in hand in concert to really give you tools to shift your mindset. The mantra of the B5, as you can see in the logo, it's a B5 and it has a little crown, a little tiara, a 5-point star. Everything about the box is very intentional, right down to the colors that are in the box, the crown, the star, the items that are in the box. Everything is intentional. So
this is so cool.
The affirmations that are in the box right now, we currently hand cut them because I don't want them to have straight edges, right? And I've engaged, even at one point I had a senior center was cutting for me. And that was so amazing. And just
I love that. I love how you get the senior people to take part.
Because they need a purpose. They need to feel valued, right? And the fact that I intentionally don't want the edges straight makes it perfect for them, because some of them have tremors or whatever.
Parkinson's, yeah.
Exactly. And so the fact that it didn't have to be straight was perfect, right? And so when I involved them, when I tell you that it was an emotional moment to just see that, to their desire, their heart was full. You could see their self-worth just take this to a new height. And so it wasn't just cutting paper, like it was so beyond cutting a piece of paper.
Yeah.
They found purpose. They found hope in giving back. And so the recipients then too, also, you know, I make sure that they know this was cut with so much love, right? You can't help but find hope when you know all that went into it, and that it was all very intentional with you, the recipient, in mind. No matter how old you are, whether you're 7, 17, or 77, it really doesn't matter. The end goal is to be able to provide you hope. And as you ladies are saying, help you find contentment wherever you are.
I just love, do you ever connect the recipient to the person who do the cutting?
Like, no, it's just because I don't know exactly each piece that was cut, because see, when I tell you over days, they cut over days.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that would be fun. It'd be like a pen pal thing, you know, with the person who cut it and write something intentionally for the person who received
we might have to try to do something like that in the future, because that is kind of cool, connecting the dots.
Yeah. Well, you are the second person. We actually did have somebody we interviewed not too long ago, and her name is Erin Tarr. she create boxes for teen and tween,
Oh,
and the same way that she also sent them to them for, with a lot of encouragement and hope and things that, to get young women to build up their confidence. So I
yeah.
don't know if there's going to be a synergy there between you and
Oh, I
her,
would
but I
love to
see.
meet her, because maybe is hers a subscription box or just because mine is
Yeah,
a
I think hers is like somebody can give that box to anyone. Is a purchasing box.
right.
Um,
Yeah, I'd love to connect with her just to see. There might be
yeah,
some
but
opportunities.
I just love the part that I love the idea. First of all, I think the idea is just way cool. I mean, I don't have a daughter. I wish I do, but I do have nieces.
Yes.
I think that train them in the age that they are sponge, they're curious and a game like, so that way, so they feel that it is fun to involve in something that they
Yeah.
can learn. But don't wait until you go to college and then you burn all the credit cards and then you come home with a bunch of debts and the student loans and not able to find a job, and you're gonna have to move back with mom and dad.
Right.
Yeah,
So that is not a good confidence builder.
it's good to educate them before they get into that credit card problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think, I love the aspect that you involve women with all ages, from young to senior and every single spectrum in between, because
Absolutely.
financial is the type of thing that women sometimes feel powerless if they are not able to control their own destiny based on the financial freedom.
Yes.
And this is really helpful, and I think it is a great way that you start building that bridge between the young one giving back with their wisdom, with now the knowledge. Even when they did mistake, they can learn from what mistake that they did. I'm sure they got tons of story to tell.
Absolutely. And I tell my clients, when it comes to their mistakes, there's the only value in visiting your past mistake is to learn the lesson. And
Yeah.
once you've learned the lesson, you just have to move forward. You can't
Right.
die there, the coulda, shoulda, woulda, all that, because it's counterproductive, right? Learn the lesson. It doesn't then miraculously make you perfect.
Yeah.
What it does is hopefully the next mistake you make will be different than that mistake, and maybe
Yeah.
that's impactful than that mistake, right?
And
So
I think even those lessons are really great to share, because other people can look at it and you help other people not to make the same mistake that you did.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So this is wonderful, and I'm sure there's a lot of more nitty gritty in the program that we would love to talk more. Tell us one thing. How can people like start if they want to think about anything? It's like, one thing I know that we come up to the time that we almost have to, we would respect to you and to our audience, but we really like to hear, like, what advice do you have for girls from young to old to take initiative, just to
With regards to their self-esteem, their personal money management, or kind of
both, because that's both of your program, right?
and I think one is know that you can, right? And I think getting that hurdle gets you started, right? Because so often when it comes to money, and sometimes it's generational, sometimes it's cultural, that females feel like, oh, the male, like he manages the money, this, that, or the other. And it doesn't matter when I do a workshop, if there's 5 women, 50 women, or 500 women, there's going to be at least a woman, generally more, in there that honestly, when they do that introspection, they are in a situation that they have no business in, but they stay because of money, right? Because they feel like they can't make it on their own, financially speaking. And I mean, in some situations, I mean, I'm telling you, I've had heartbreaking, physical violence, emotional violence, all of that, and they stay. So that's quickly, the fundamental reason of that is your self-esteem, because you don't feel like you're worthy or deserve better. Because if you did, you would find the strength to get out of the situation. You would find the strength in the realization that, yeah, he may pay the bills, and maybe when we're together, we live in a mansion. If I were by myself, I have to live in an apartment. But what I say to them is that you cannot put a price tag on a good night's rest. And let me say, so like, mansion, apartment, but I'm sleeping well, right?
You could be a jail in the mansion.
It's a no-brainer.
You
Absolutely.
could be a free as a bird in a little tiny apartment, but it's yours, right?
It's yours. And to get them to see, like, you can do this. You have what it takes. And so what I say about the self-esteem thing, that program, it is either teaching the female about her worth and her value, or it is reminding a female of her worth or her value, because maybe she knew and it kind of got lost.
That's what our conversation is going to be next month, about our worth, our self-worth, our value.
And so to band together, it's so funny. Right before I got on this call, they're doing this bucket list challenge for another organization that I partner with. So I had to do my video to submit like your bucket list, like what is one item on your bucket list and your why. And they didn't want you to promote your business and all that kind of stuff. It's just kind of a fun thing. And honestly, my bucket list, my video was about, I've had this dream multiple times about, I don't know when or where it is or whatever, but I'm on this big stage and it is females as far as the eye can see, right? And on this stage, I say to them, I am a B5. What is a B5? And resoundingly, this sea of females responds back, a bona fide boss with brains, beauty, and a believer in me. That's the
nice.
And in that moment, in the dream, like it is in that moment, and I know it's going to happen because he's going to make it happen, right? It is like this roar of empowerment that these women, and they're all kinds of women, right? Young and old and black and white and all these ethnicities and gender, it's everything, right? Females as far as the eye can see. And what that translates for me is, because like anything else, there is some weak links, right? There's some females that their self-esteem is so low that they become easy prey for those predators who are seeking them out. So whether it's for sex trafficking, prostitution, abuse, or whatever, like it's like a radar. If you had 10 women, they would be able to say, that's the one, right? Something about
they can smell it.
say, I'm the one, right? But in this vision, this sea of females, those weak links are in there, but there's so many other strong women around them that you can't see them, because we all look like we're one.
Love it. I love it.
Big old clump of, so you can't it's all or nothing, and you can't take all of us on, right? And so that's that vision of empowerment, of gifting women with self, right?
Yeah.
Because we already have it, we just don't know or have forgotten. And so when it all comes together and the stars align and all of us know that, that you're a B5, like that, for me, that's utopia. I cannot wait for that to happen. That's on my bucket list.
I can see it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen
when it happens. To be able to see these women.
Right. So I want to add a little bit. I've been with those seeds of people. I mean, I guess obviously you got to surround yourself with empowerment in order to get your weakest, your weakling stay behind. You got to surround yourself with the people that you want to be like that. So find another bona fide person to be with. Second of all, I think that this is information age. So nobody should feel like they don't know how, because, there's a lot of information floating out there. And if you can't find anything, call Pamela.
Call me.
Yes, call her.
495-8568. Call me. I'm here to help.
And reach out, because I see that vision. I love that vision of yours. And if Sarah and I can be any part of that vision, and I think together we are stronger if we can link arms and help all the women.
That's
Men
it.
don't have a confidence problem. Men
Yeah.
have overconfidence problem. I think women have the confidence because they're always so humble. And but
Mhm.
men, some men, they need help, but I think a lot of men really have the opposite of confidence.
Right.
They're not that I'm gonna say that we don't help men, but I think I'm
Right.
sure that women are the one that was always protective and nurturing, and always want to give more
Right.
than taking care of self.
Mhm.
So I think that's beautiful, and we welcome you to put in any information on our on our Facebook page.
Okay.
And we welcome anybody who want to reach out to Pamela. I'm sure she,
Absolutely would love, and my ask would be connect me with any organization or group that serves women, right?
Yeah.
Serves females. So it can be, I do a lot with youth right now, but I've done women. Some of the amazing stories, like I had an opportunity to work with a nonprofit that serves females, and
Right.
some of them were young females who are victims of sex trafficking.
So I love this. I think
It was
we
amazing.
have interviewed a lot of people who
Yeah.
work with youth groups. So I've like actually have a handful that I think that if you guys can do something together, that would be wonderful worldwide, globally.
Yes, I would
Um,
absolutely love that. And because, of course, because of COVID, I've had the opportunity. So we've implemented the program virtually. I prefer in person whenever possible,
yes,
right? But
yes,
you got to do what you got to do. So I've done virtual. So that then means I could implement this program anywhere in the world.
yeah.
You know,
Well, maybe we'll eventually, we'll think of something about, we want to talk about topic about future,
mhm.
the younger generation,
Yeah,
the youth. I think that's there's that big population that we need to cultivate them to be
absolutely.
somebody, because they're going to be the one who's taking care of us.
They are our future. Absolutely.
They are our future. Yes.